Hello to you and our guests tonight. The billionaire businessman who switched support from the Conservatives to Labour. Where will he be today? John Caudwell. Labour MP for Clapham and Brixton Hill, which is in London. Bell Ribeiro-Addy. Hello, Bell. And polling prince Luke Tryl. And Newsnight newshound Nick's here too. The government performed a U-turn over rights for sacked workers. It's your fault, John, because you wanted to get Labour more business-friendly and did this clause with day one protection from unfair dismissal look unfair to business for you?
Well, I would have thrown the whole bill away, which might not surprise you.
But I'm going to have to ask you to talk about this one
Just
clause.
that one specific clause.
Yeah.
Now, I'd have kept it as 2 years. I've been campaigning against this, the whole bill, from day one, and pushing really hard on it because it will be counter-employment friendly and it'll be counter-business. And what it'll do is make employers much less likely to take people on. And it will be destructive to employment in the UK. It'll also be destructive in the attraction of inward investment, which is the whole game. If we don't attract inward investment into this country, we're finished. We have no revenue to finance the services that we need, and that's causing taxes to put up, and that's a vicious spiral, and we have to reverse that.
I cannot understand why a good employer would have an issue with making sure
that... I can explain that very clearly, because I've employed 12,000 people. Mm-hmm. 12,000 over the year. I don't employ many now, 200 or 300.
What's the threat of giving them rights from day one?
If you were on the employer side and you'd employed as many people as me, you'd see how many times you get set up for constructive dismissal.
If they're performing, that's a really unfair way to view people.
No.
You can have a probation
sorry,
period.
Belle. Let me just explain before you interrupt me. This is fact. It's not everybody, of course, but there is a percentage of your employees, when they're performing poorly, start to think, how can I fix this? And they duck and dive and try and set you up for constructive dismissal.
But isn't that what a probation period is for?
You haven't got a probation period if it's day one.
Yes, but it's been moved to 6 months. So
oh yes, no, absolutely, that's better.
That's
much better. It's better.
There's nothing.
It's better, but you still cannot assess somebody in 6 months in every case.
Belle?
Genuinely, I just cannot see what would be wrong with making sure that people have rights from day one.
John, do you think there's two Labour parties? One, the pre-election one that was talking to business, and now the post-election one that's talking to its MPs?
I come to the conclusion over the last year, having spoken to Keir and Rachel Reeves about what should be done in the country, I come to the conclusion that the Parliamentary Labour Party are too left-wing for Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer to do what they might otherwise want to do. Now, that's not inside information because they've never shared that with me, but for certain before the election, I was wooed on a very, very strong business agenda. And a lot of what I'm seeing is not business. Did
you like bits of the budget?
I thought the budget, under the circumstances, was perfectly reasonable and perfectly fair.
Well, that's a critical friend, then. You've said some harsh things there, but you think she's trod the line?
I'm apolitical. I judge things the way they are for what's best for the country. And I think that budget was fairly neutral, but the worst thing about it was what was missing. And the biggest thing that was missing was a cut in public spending. Absolutely.
John, can I come back to you when I interrupted you when you were saying spending is the big thing? You'd have to have the judgment of Solomon to know how to cut send spending or move it around to get savings. Do you see the problem that the government's in when it tries to attack any change in any spending?
No. So, firstly, there is nowhere near enough done for disadvantaged people, educationally disadvantaged, young people at risk, and ill children. That's why I founded Caudwell Youth and Caudwell Children, to try and solve those problems in society. We, as a country, from a governmental point of view, do nowhere near enough. But you've got to get the money from somewhere. I would believe that I could go in almost any department in the government, make it more efficient, more effective, and cut a minimum of 1% off the budget.
You want to be the Doge of the UK?
No, I don't want to do that. I've got plenty to do as it is. I might consider that for one department, if lots of other people did it. We can take huge amounts of government waste out. We can be smarter. We can introduce AI. We can make sure that the people in local government are performing.
I have another proposal, which I'm guessing that you won't like, and that's a wealth tax.
And what are you going to do? Drive more rich people abroad? You've already driven.
I don't see how that would be driving rich people abroad.
Let Bell make her point.
Well, and we're talking about 2%, and this is one of the suggestions that people make, 2% on wealth over £10 million. It's a lot of money. I mean,
it is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
No, I agree.
And overall, it would raise something like £24 billion in this country, and that would be huge. What would be the issue with the wealth tax?
Well, I would say, first of all, if we could have a worldwide wealth tax where everybody in the world paid 1 or 2%, I'd be massively in support of that, but we can't. So all you do, you've already driven a lot of wealthy people offshore from the last budget, which was a disaster. And the revenue to the government, I believe, we don't know yet, but I believe will fall as a consequence of what's been done.
Let Bell reply.
To be quite honest, that amount of money from somebody who already has over £10 million is not a lot. So many wealthy people in this country, those that have over 10 million, keep making more and more. I don't understand what would be an issue with paying that back into the coffers of the country.
Thank you for that, because I think what we want you to do is come back here, you two, every night. And, John, if it's a public body, it should have political appointees on it because they're spending public money, says another argument that we did not hear from Lisa and Andy.
I think the BBC should be apolitical. I don't think it should have any political influence within it at all. Of course, you've got all the individual views of people working in the BBC, which will make it slightly less apolitical, but we don't really need it run by a board of directors that have got strong political views.
Bell, do you think... Sorry,
I know, I was going to say I absolutely agree. I think that's
a first, huh?
Yeah, I think that's a first.
And John, do you think there are Newsnight viewers now putting down their hip flask and thinking, will there be a day when they stop talking about the BBC on the BBC?
I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that when you look at the lies that the BBC have told, especially the Bashir one with Princess Diana, I mean, that was awful. And we have to have ethics within any broadcasting.
Right. The only way is ethics, that's what you're saying. And there is a big exposed scandal on the Bashir story. You are right.